Welcome to another episode of Red Lotus Life. Today is a cool topic. We're going to be talking about organizing our life around survival and holding wealth in the physical body and how those two relate to each other. We're literally going to be talking about how wealth is not just a mindset, how survival can block receiving, and how the body has to feel safe to hold more. And I'm excited because we're starting a new series in Say Yes to Soul, and we're starting first with wealth consciousness and the physical body. So, yeah, how are you, Sarah?
I'm really good. I'm really excited because as we're really diving into this topic, and it was actually me that got this topic going because of my spiral journey and my intention with my spiral journey being to integrate all five bodies to be able to hold wealth in all five bodies. And so Lori and I kind of were like, oh, maybe we need to, take a detour from our regular life design plan and just really concentrate on what's in the physical body where receiving and holding wealth is concerned. And I'm already just mind blown at what we are finding.
I am
What about
too.
you?
Yeah, it's like this is so alive, which is why we do it, right? Our topics, we literally do this work right along with everybody else. And so whenever we come on here and talk about something, it's because it's very much alive. We are literally feeling it. We're moving through it. We're journeying with it, contemplating, reflecting. I mean, all the things.
Yeah. And not only that, but we're journeying it with those that are in the container with us. And it's just amazing when everybody really starts to have their aha moments and connect the dots and everyone's sharing what they're experiencing. And that actually leads to another aha moment for someone else that they may not have seen. So it's just really beautiful the way the group container works as well.
Yeah, it's really cool. This thought process for today's topic, the way it came about was actually super cool. So there's been like this talk in the chat, right? We have our private chat for Say Yes to Soul where we're all talking in there and contemplating, and everyone's really excited. So that was fun to like hear that. But then also we've been talking about it on the socials. And so I had somebody comment on like comment, question, all the things. We love it. We love it because we want to talk about it. So somebody was commenting because I was talking about patterns. I can't remember exactly what the reel was about, but it was about patterns and me realizing that I was in survival mode and stuff like that. And the comment was that somebody was like, wow, thanks for sharing. Yeah, that really brought something up. And I was like, oh, have you experienced survival mode the same way that I did? I was just sharing my lived experience in that reel. So like, did did you experience this as well, or was yours a little different? And and that person was like, yeah, mine was a little different. And it started 18 years ago when my twins were born premature and in NICU for like 11 weeks or something like that. And I was like, oh, yeah, that'll do it. Like, that'll totally do it. So
Mhm.
it brought in this whole aspect of like, yeah, there's survival mode, there's survival patterns that end up developing so that we can stay safe, right? Our nervous system starts to put these like different modes in and protections in place and things like that. And then a lot of times it's really hard to break the pattern because that's where we've always felt safe. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about how life, the survival pattern of life organized around urgency, pressure, overfunctioning, control, that type of stuff, you
Mhm.
know. And yeah, I've been literally observing myself as we've been preparing for all of this, and it's like it's crazy. It's crazy how much I feel the urgency. Like I really resonate with the urgency part.
I really resonate with the urgency part as well. And that's something that's been really, really in my awareness as we have continued the conversation. It's the urgency to do more, to produce more, to get more done, we forget that we can pause and take a step back and take a breath and actually accomplish more and we're more efficient in that space where we're slowing down rather than feeling urgent and sort of getting into that space where we're future tripping. And we kind of touched on that part before, but I notice it. And I feel it in my body, and I'm like, okay, I can just like take a deep breath and just consciously slow down so that you can actually receive what is here and now and then expand into what's possible.
What do you think is underneath that for you? Like with the urgency for that? Like where do you think that came from?
You know, I have been sitting with that as well. I don't know yet what the root of it is, but I know that relationship dynamics significantly contributed and just sort of like sealed it in stone, right? Um, when you have people who are in your external environment who are constantly provoking a sense of urgency, then your body starts to go into, survival, and you're, just either looking out for repercussions or feeling like you can't move fast enough or you're not going to be on time or you're going to be late or not going to get something done. Like there's a lot that goes into it.
That's
What do you think?
interesting. I'm like, that's interesting because as you were talking about that, I was like, yeah, I totally resonate with the urgency part, but mine's different. Mine is based on worth. And so if we're talking, okay, so even if we're talking about consciousness, right? And so it'll be
Hmm.
interesting when you do make the connection on that. For me, it's achievements. It's not necessarily like I'm going to be late, I'm not going to have enough time. It's more like how many things can I get done in a day? Like that's the type of urgency. Or like how can I pack so much into a day? Or I really notice this. And so like relationship dynamics, right? If we're talking like relationship dynamics and abuse in any way, we've been preparing for this, I've noticed I do that. I do that um all like I can't be complacent. I can't allow, and let me see. I'm trying to find the words here. Well, I do it with my husband now. Like that's actually where I do it. Because I'm like, where do I actually do it? I do it with my husband now. My husband now is amazing, like amazing. We have a great relationship and all of that. So the relationship dynamics before, like when he's around, I feel like I have to look like I'm busy. I feel like I'm like, well, yeah, I'll come back because I got to do this, or I'll come up and so this is interesting because we do the work right with everybody, right? And every time we do the work, it's like another layer sheds and another layer sheds. And so this is fascinating to me that that's how I feel, that I have to be like busy around him. Like I have to be straightening up. I have to be cooking dinner. I have to say, oh, I got all this stuff done. And it goes back to I had to have dinner done by a certain time. I had to have the house picked up. I had to like what I experienced in other
Hmm.
relationships where abuse took place. I had to have certain things done by the time somebody got home or things weren't good, right? And so that's a connection that that's an example right there. I'd love to hear if anybody else who listens or watches actually resonates with that.
Yeah, I would love to hear also. And I also resonate with the worthiness piece as well. And I also have experienced it. I'm not so much anymore as much because it's been in my awareness for a good while. The way that you're talking about needing to look busy, we've had this conversation because I actually had someone tell me one time, let him see you work, or you like it's
Oh yeah.
it's conditioning. It's conditioning from what I actually witnessed when I was growing up. Um, so this is a rabbit hole because we've never actually had this come up for clearing, but we have had the conversation a few times.
We have. We have. So it's fascinating when we talk about the body. So we're talking physical body, right? So
Hmm.
Physical body. That when we're talking physical body is yes, this, the meat and bones and blood and everything of our physical body, but it's also the physical plane. And
Yeah.
so that's like literally like the 3D world that we live in. And so this is just, it's fascinating because we can totally go down so many different rabbit holes with this because it is conditioning, especially I would love because the oh, I'm like, now my mind's just going. It's like there's so many things, right? But like we're talking gender-based, right? Of like traditional gender roles. Like that's kind of where 100% that's where mine came from with that. Also, the Japanese culture, it's all about achievements and how much can you get done in a day, which is funny because the other side of that is actually the Zen out thing, being very present.
Hmm.
It's like the two polarities of that. But in my situation, like that's actually how I was conditioned was, well, how much can you get done in a day? And like how many hours have you worked? Like that type of thing. Like you really earn your worth in that way. And then the gender role thing, I mean, that was like a huge thing, especially whenever I stayed home um with my children. That was huge. Huge, the stuff. I mean, I remember working from before dawn till midnight working the whole
Hmm.
time because that was my job was to hold the household, right? Keep the house, whatever, like run the house. So we could go through a lot of different things, but I would love to hear also from other genders or what other people have experienced because everyone has their lived experience in one way or another. And so when I noticed that about the urgency, right? Of me going, wow, I really resonate with this urgency part. What's happening? And like all the energy's running through my body. Like all
Hmm.
the energy it was like if we're talking fight, flight, freeze, it was definitely a flight, like I had to be moving.
Hmm.
And then the reason why I had to be moving, especially if I look at it and go, well, that only happens when my husband comes home
Hmm.
or I come home or whatever. That is an unconscious imprint from what I've experienced in the past.
Yeah, I have a question about that then. So, when you're feeling that urgency, and I experience that as well as sort of like that overwhelm, it's too much energy in the body, right? That flight. Um, what is the emotion underneath of that? Because so many times when we get stuck in that feeling of urgency, overwhelm, and needing to do more and keep going at all costs, like hold both. I don't know. For me personally, I also often see it, and I have experienced it as well. When we're talking about the gender roles, there's a lot of times when the feminine will end up like taking on both roles, both the masculine and the feminine. You're holding the household and you're working, right? And so then you're doing twice as much. But what is the emotion underneath that maybe is in the unconscious or is being repressed?
Oh, right away. So I gave the two examples, right? So one
Hmm.
would be the Japanese culture, which I was raised in. The other one being past relationships.
Hmm.
So if I talk Japanese, it's disappointment, a fear of disappointing, right? It's a
Hmm.
fear of disappointment. If we're talking the other one, I experienced extreme physical abuse. So on top of all kinds of other things. So there was just fear.
Hmm.
I'm like, that's all I can say about that one. Fear, right? Everything had to be good because there would be repercussions. The other one is a fear of disappointment.
Yeah.
And so if we're looking at both of those with wealth consciousness, it's like, how can it possibly, like, if my body has, like, it's not even like a shrinking, it's like energy running through my body, how does it possibly have the capacity to hold wealth if my body's never allowed to rest to receive?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I resonate with that as well. I resonate with the fear. And for me, that can look like fear of disappointment, fear of disapproval, fear of judgment, fear of criticism. It shows up in so many ways. And again, it just goes back to, okay, how can we slow down enough to be able to create the capacity to receive within the body? And how can we possibly hold, much less receive or generate more? How can we possibly hold it? So, man, it's such a rabbit hole.
It is because there's so many things that we could that we've all experienced, right?
Hmm.
Those are just the situation, those. And if we go like we go into like inner child work and all kinds of stuff because we know like like how this works, right? And how I ended up in these situations in
Hmm.
my adult life or even like, teen years or whatever, we can always go to the root. So of what was the conditioning there? And there's so much, right? Just in societal conditioning and everything else. So
Hmm.
okay, so when we're talking about wealth, we are talking about it including so much more than money. I mean, this is, we always talk about we jump timelines. We used to say we jump canyons and say it's to soul. And now we're like, no, we literally jump timelines now. So
Yes.
when we're talking about wealth and wanting to be able to hold wealth in all five bodies, when we're talking about the physical body, well, let's not get into the physical body yet. Let's just talk about the wealth part. It is literally wealth in all the areas of our life. So yeah, it's money. Like yes, being financially secure, but it's also about and being able to hand down to the other generations. But it's our health, it's our relationships, it's our time, it's everything in our life, every aspect in our life that actually is a wealth of freedom. Like it's just
Mhm.
the freedom to truly be you in all those ways.
It truly is. I mean, it goes back to that saying that our health is our wealth. And when we're feeling into the capacity of what actually does that look like outside of just generating in a financial way, when we think about what other ways are we generating in the household? Are we generating while we're taking care of our children? Are we generating to the point that we cannot even receive, say, a compliment? We can't receive um, a gift. We can't receive. This has been a conversation as well that's come up over the years as we've done this work. But you know what? If you go out to eat and someone unexpectedly pays for a meal and you're like, oh, no, 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 I was going to pay for that. And then you refuse instead of actually receiving the gift, then actually you're doing a disservice to the other person. So, man, what are your thoughts about that?
I mean, yeah, literally shows up in all areas of our life, right? It
Hmm.
literally shows up on all those things that I used to be that person. I
Hmm.
used to be that person. It was so hard for me. You even knew me back then, but it was like I used to be that person that I no, like nobody. In fact, and if it did, then I would usually like pay it forward. Like you know how you're like in a driver's like in the drive-through and somebody's like paying for your coffee or whatever, and you're like, oh, and then I'll pay for the next one. But I'd be like, I wouldn't just do one. I'd be like, I'll pay for the next the next five orders,
Yeah.
type thing or whatever. Or I'd give like $50 and be like, this covers whatever. Like I would go above and beyond because it was so hard for me to receive in that way.
Okay, and what would be the emotion underneath that? Not being able to receive and having to give more.
Well, I'm like, well, we'll just keep going with the theme. If we're going with the Japanese culture, it'd be like, do they think I need the money? Do they think I need the help? That
Mhm.
type of thing, right? And then the other one would be like, um, again, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. I'm glad that you're asking me this question because I'm like, why? Oh yeah, like the stuff that I experienced, it's like I couldn't even make eye contact with people, or there would be repercussions. you know? So it was like, oh my gosh, for somebody to, well, what did you do? Do you know that person? Like, like if that would, do you know the person in front of you? How do you know them? How do you, da, 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 Well, especially if it was a man, right? Like for me,
Hmm.
if it was a man, the jealousy stuff would come out. So all the repercussions and everything. So I would definitely not like want to be invisible, which that's another thing with wealth consciousness is the visibility.
Yeah.
And I would want to be invisible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that brings up kind of a little bit of a different aspect of this conversation, whereas, if you're in a position where you can't be visible and you're shrinking due to the possibility of repercussions, um, then you might be so much less likely to reach out for help or to receive support. And so, because it's like, I've got this. And then what's the emotion under that? I know in the past for me, it's embarrassment. Like, I've got this, you don't want anyone to know what's actually happening, you know? And so then you will deny support, deny help, deny the possibility of a different outcome, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. I think we should just let that sit with everyone actually, so that people can actually compliment, contemplate how do they receive? Like that, like, do they receive? Is there resistance there? Because I mean, everyone's gonna be like, oh no, I'm not going to, I'm not going to reject a gift. No, people do it all the time. I
Hmm.
mean, even you can, this just happened today. I'm sitting here literally going, wow, look at all the things. I had told somebody that I like their shoes. Oh, those are cute shoes. Like a stranger, right? Those are cute shoes. I like those. She goes, got them for like $10 at the thrift store, or whatever. And I was like, oh, they're cute. Got a smoking deal, type thing. But instead of just saying, thank you, I like them too, or something like that, she actually like put it down. Like it was a, like, and there was shame. There was shame that got them at a thrift store, and I'm
Hmm.
like, I like thrifting. I think it's fun.
Oh yeah, me too. That's one of my things that I like to just go and do by myself. Just like go to random thrift stores and I give myself that. See, I can receive in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, all of this is it's such a cool topic. Like I love talking about wealth consciousness stuff. It's been really fun because both of us wanted to work on wealth with our spiral journeys. And it's crazy to me that it's taken this long to actually, like for me to go, yeah, I care. That tells you right there. I'm like, that tells you right there what a block it was for me to receive if I've been a practitioner this long of this work and have gone through the spiral how many times. And finally I'm like, I think I'm gonna heal some wealth wounds. I think I'm worthy and deserving by now. Let's do this.
I know, right? That's the whole thing. Like we know we're worthy, we know we're deserving. It's like, what are those unconscious blocks? Because
Yeah,
they're definitely in the unconscious awareness.
I know. It's so
Oh my.
funny. Oh, oh my gosh. Okay. Let's talk about how survival, well, we've already kind of talked about the physical, like the body connection that happens. Was there anything more that you wanted to share about that part before we move into how survival mode actually blocks well?
The only thing that I'd like to share is we were talking about the emotions and like what's the emotion that's underneath, right? So the next question that I would ask is where are you actually feeling it in the body? Like where's the constriction, where's the tension, where's the overwhelm? That way, I mean, it's all about embodiment, right? In order to be able to build and hold and expand this capacity, we have to know what's present in the body. And sometimes we don't know what the emotion is until we're actually able to know what's present in the body. So,
Hmm.
Yeah. What did you want to share about survival mode?
Oh, I just wanted to talk. Yeah, no, all of that. That's why, I took that moment. How am I experiencing that urgency? Oh yeah, it was literally all throughout my body. There was not one spot. I was like, okay. Um, with this actually blocking it, it literally is the body feeling unsafe or us feeling unsafe, right? But since we're talking physical body, the physical body's constantly communicating with us. So when the body feels yeah, our mind might be there, we might think, oh yeah, we're worthy and deserving, but our body is actually the one that's like, I don't think so. Like, hold up just a second. That's why we're going to focus on the physical body first because it's so dense. Because we can have that mindset. This is where it's going into like, you can have the mindset all day long. You can say the affirmations, you can do all the things, you can think, all these things. But if the
Hmm.
body actually can't receive this and the body actually doesn't feel safe, then that's when it will literally create pressure, which feel that too. I was talking to you about it before we hopped on.
Hmm.
We feel responsibility, which that also happens. We start to take it all on, like take on guilt, shame, whatever, responsibility. I mean, responsibility shows up in a million ways. The visibility, we've already kind of touched on that, but also like obligation. Like the body, you can literally, I'm so excited. I think we don't know yet. We're not quite sure. We've been talking about it, but I think we're going to create like a little something for everyone for the physical body so that you can actually have something in front of you, like a PDF or something, a workbook or something. We're going to do something, I think, if we have the time for it while we're in this part of the physical body, because it's really fascinating what happens when you start to reflect on this stuff and you go, oh, wow, what is my body saying? Do I feel pressure? And then what's the emotion under it, right? And then do I feel responsibility? Because it's so many different rabbit holes you can go down in so many different contexts with each of these things. How do you feel, or what would you like to share around survival blocking wealth?
Mm, I think I'd like to talk about the pressure that you were just speaking to. So, when we're in survival, we're actually uh, sort of existing from a blocked root chakra, right? And where does that pressure come from? And I think for me, and you'll have to tell me if you resonate with this or not, but oftentimes I will feel the pressure in the body before the mental body ever understands what you're feeling. And so that's another reason why it's so important to drop into the body, because oftentimes the mental mind is not it's not going to have any idea what's actually happening. Your body is going to be like you could be feeling that overwhelm. You're going to that could show up as pressure. um and that pressure is kind of going, for me, like it moves straight up from the root all the way up to the crown and into the head. And at that point, things kind of can be confusing, right? And this is actually, for me, when I know there's going to be a breakthrough, when there's a shift that's going to occur. And I'm pretty attuned to it just because of that gene key actually of dissatisfaction. Um, but the pressure is one of the ways that I recognize survival and when there's about to be a shift. And this, like, there's layers to it, right? It's not just one and done.
Yeah.
We're always evolving, we're ever expanding. We're like, we want to be able to expand that capacity a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, because then what happens is if it goes too fast, then it's like we were talking about in the last episode, we're not able to hold, and then we lose everything, or, mental health declines or the physical body declines. So,
Mhm.
that's where my thought process is there, if you could follow it.
No, I totally did. Yeah. So 100% resonate, right? Because it
Hmm.
does. The root chakra is our survival. It is literally the base of our existence, right? And if there's anything there that might not be in alignment, whether that's a situation or whatever, right? All of a sudden, instincts come in, whatever. It's going to build the pressure because, and then it's how you said it builds and everything else, and how the mind actually doesn't, the mind's confused, right? The
Yeah.
mind's confused. And so if we don't, what happens if we don't drop into the body to be like, what's happening? The
Hmm.
mind starts taking off with that story of like, oh shit, we are not safe. We are not
Yeah.
safe. And it starts like creating all these stories. And then the mind actually releases all the chemicals in the body. Now we have cortisol, all the things. And and that's what creates anxiety.
Hmm.
That's what creates like all the emotions, the energy in motion, right? Is when the thoughts are like running wild. So the energy in motion happens. We have anxiety, we have overwhelm, we have fear, we have like all the lack and scarcity mindset, like all the things. This is why mindset doesn't matter with this, with what we're talking about, because the
Hmm.
mind will totally hijack. But the second that if we are like, this is why the embodiment piece is so amazing. Because when we can understand, oh, wow, there's confusion, drop into the body and be like, what's happening? The body's like, I don't know, give me an example of what would be, I guess the body would be like, Hmm. I'm trying to give like a kind of a funny example where you're actually not in danger, but you're just running late or something like that.
I mean, that's a really good example, actually.
Is it? Okay, because you were
Yeah.
talking about that before. So like, yeah, you're just running late or something, but your body starts now all of a sudden the overwhelm, the anxiety, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be late, so and so's gonna be mad, da 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 da. Like that's an example of this of the mind taking off, hijacking, right? The mental
Yeah.
body.
Hmm.
But it's cool because whenever you pop back in and you're like, okay, like what's going on? Oh, we're just running a little behind. Take a big deep breath and go, okay, let me just focus and be really efficient so that, it's like I'm not going to die. I'm not going to die type thing.
Hmm. Yeah, and this goes back to just slowing down and actually coming into a state of surrender. When we slow down and we're able to pause, it creates space. And within that space, the mental body has time to get on board with the body, right? Something that I used to experience as you were just sharing what you were sharing, something that I actually experienced was I wouldn't even be late.
Yeah.
I would be well ahead of time, have plenty of time, but still felt like I didn't have enough time or that I was going to run out of time. I don't experience that anymore. Thank goodness, because it actually did create a lot of overwhelm and that pressure and that too much energy, that overwhelming feeling would start to build up in my body and start to create the pressure, right? Um, Thank goodness I don't experience that anymore. But it took a lot of embodiment work for me to get to that place. And it was because of the situations, like I was sharing before, within like relationship dynamic or conditioning, even from childhood, like you have to be on time, you have to be, show up 20 minutes early or you're late. It's time to get out the door right now. And for me, another thing that I experienced is like having no idea that I was actually supposed to, like, we don't know what the plans are, but all of a sudden there's a plan and I'm not ready. Maybe for an example, I haven't even showered or thought about leaving the house, but all of a sudden we're going somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, now, 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 you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And that creates a survival response.
Yeah. Perfect example.
Hmm.
Yeah. And we can go like that's what we do and say yes to soul is we go to the root of that. We will find the imprint of that, like when that actually happened, so that we can
Hmm.
release it and heal that through integration. And it's super fun whenever like so And I think back, I have kids. So like I think back as me as a mom, like if I'm looking back going, oh yeah, how many times we're late, we gotta go now, now, now. A kid is just watching TV or whatever, and all of a sudden, oh, we gotta go, type thing.
Mhm.
So it could be something as simple as that. Like that's the imprint that created the survival mode in that moment when we were 3 years old or something.
Yeah, it's fascinating now that we're thinking about it because I know this is another thing that I've shared with you before is it was so much of a thing for me in my journey. Like I said, thank goodness I don't feel that way anymore. I'm able to pause and like get on board even with the mental body and be like, okay, I get to respond and not react here. But because I know so well what it feels like when you're in that position, something that I've actually done with my children is to be really intentional about time. So rather than making them feel rushed at the last minute, I'm like, okay, we have to leave in an hour, and now we have to leave in 45 minutes. Okay, now you have to be ready in 30 minutes. Okay, now we're walking out the door in 15 minutes. That way they don't feel like there's that crunch and
Yeah.
that overwhelm and that anxiety or that, just being rushed in any way. And that actually really, really helps.
Yeah. It does help. I've done that with my kids too. I went once I started, it's funny because I think as young moms we don't know, but then we start to like get into it, right? And we go,
Oh,
but I
yeah.
remember starting to like to implement that and actually even do a lot of the prep in the morning or at night so that the mornings
Hmm.
went, but also same, right? Just being able to give them that space and then but I did it probably out of so they could understand time. But this is
Right.
really cool because the side effect of that is a calm nervous system.
Well, it's a calm nervous system, and it also allows them to take initiative on their own. They know they have X amount of time, and there will be a consequence if when that hour is up, they're not ready.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you get a calm, regulated nervous system and also independence.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm just remembering things now. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. I remember one time my mom throwing water on me, cold water on me in bed because I wouldn't get up out of bed to go to school. So, and
Oh,
I was asleep. So I'm like, talk about a shock to the nervous system, right? So we
hmm.
can like, so I like that all these different examples are coming out on what could create these things for survival mode. Um,
Yeah.
I want to go back to what you were talking about with feeling the pressure and it building, and that now you know your gene key well enough with the shadow. Is it the shadow dissatisfaction?
Hmm.
So you know that well enough that when it builds, you're like, ooh, I know a breakthrough's coming. So
Hmm.
I love this because the breakthrough. So if we're talking, we just barely talked about, okay, here's how the body communicates with us. This is what we start to feel. Okay, now we're dropping into the body. What is that, type thing. And all of this, it sounds like a lot of work, but it really isn't once you start to practice, right? When you start to
Yeah.
practice embodiment, it happens actually really fast in a split second. And so when you're like, ooh, now I know a breakthrough is going to happen, because once you drop in and you get the mind on board, like what you said, and the mind now understands what's happening, now the mind can make decisions and take actions. And the
Mhm.
actions are actually what creates the breakthrough. Do you agree with that or no?
I think the breakthrough, I think action has to be happening, whether that is just being in an act of surrender, whether that is focusing your attention for a certain amount of time. But I think the action is continual in some way, but it's not a forced action. It's an intentional, directed action. And then as that energy begins to increase, because it literally is like a chemical reaction that gets set
Hmm.
off in the body, right?
Hmm.
We feel dissatisfied. And so a natural, as a natural current of existence, The only choice that we have is to figure out how to be dissatisfied or to stay dissatisfied. We cannot have any kind of change without finding a remedy for the dissatisfaction. That dissatisfaction is creating the pressure, right?
Hmm.
And so,
It's
I
that
think,
decision of like, do I keep going here or do I make a different decision and now I'm going to do something different?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the same. We were talking about it, I guess, during lunar journeys, and I was using the example of the rock, the big rock in the river, and the water meeting that rock or that boulder, and the pressure against the boulder. I'm actually in the energy of the lunar journeys clear right now. The more we talk about it. So the pressure of the water is going to hit the boulder, and then what choice does the water have to do but to go two different directions? So that's where that choice is like the fork in the road. I'm either going to stay where I am or I'm going to make a different choice. And that's where the breakthrough comes from.
Hmm. And then that's when the capacity opens up.
Yes.
So this is now where we get into generating wealth versus holding wealth. And so we can either take the path of doing the exact same thing, and now we're just generating wealth with our survival tool, like not tools, but coping mechanisms and everything else, right? To stay alive. Or now we can go this other way and we can actually hold wealth. And that's what we're talking about in Say Yes to Soul in the next couple of months. Like that is actually so the generating wealth versus holding wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Survival,
Yeah.
we can generate anything. I mean, I think everyone can probably resonate with that. Like you make things happen. Like, if you're in survival mode, you're making things happen. If you
Yeah.
don't feel safe, you're making things happen.
Yeah. I had something that I was just going to share and I can't remember what it was now. Oh, yes, we can all generate, but are we living paycheck to paycheck? Do we still not have enough even though we're able to generate? Um are we spending frivolously? Like there's so many ways to not be able to actually have the capacity to hold. So now that's what we'll be talking about moving forward is now how do we have the capacity to hold?
Hmm. Yeah, which I think is really cool because there's a huge difference. Um, And it's funny because I sit here and I go, what is the difference? And my body responds, right? And it goes, mm. Okay, so when we're generating and we feel like we're in survival mode, we're living paycheck to paycheck, we are just literally just like if we look, we're like breathing through the tiniest straw, right? Is basically what's happening. So constricted and to where we can't even see beyond. And it really does take the pause, like what you were talking about, the pause, the slowdown. But if we think about that, like it takes the pause and the slowdown to actually have the capacity to hold wealth, not generate money, not generate wealth, but hold wealth, that actually feels the opposite of all of our coping mechanisms.
Yes, it feels absolutely the opposite. And the way that I experience that is when you slow down and you're able to now focus your energy and you're focusing that energy with such great intention that the energy transfers. It translates in whatever work that you're doing, like whether that is being of service, whether that is a business, a corporation, your job at work, right? When you're able to slow down and be intentional and focus your energy, now that energy and frequency is going to go out and do the work for you. Basically, it comes back to magnetism.
Mhm. And now we're working on the quantum and everything else. And this is why we actually jump timelines when we do this work.
Yeah.
But it is interesting because like I know I feel it. Like I will feel it. We talk about it all the time, even just with business stuff, how like I resist the slowdown.
I know.
I'm a generator in human design and I resist the slowdown. And part of resisting the slowdown is all of these things that we've talked about this entire episode, right? This entire time. It's all these things plus some. These are just a few of the things. And so I sit here and I'm like, it's so I am excited for this clear because I'm excited to lean into it and actually be like, instead of having my coping mechanisms sit here and go, no, 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 Lori, like you got to keep going. You got to be busy. You have to have that urgency. The slowdown means that revenue's not coming in, whatever, right? Am I going to have enough, all the things, right? The mind starts taking off. Am I going to have enough money to pay the bills, blah, blah, whatever, whatever. And to actually feel comfortable in the slowdown, in the pause, in the holding because of the magnetism, the work we're doing in the quantum field, like all that kind of stuff. It's actually going to be really cool because I would so much rather want to sit back and just do my thing. And I know what you're talking about, the flow state. Like I
Yeah.
know the flow state is like amazing. Like that is talk about a rush. I love the flow state when I get into the flow state, right? Because you're just
Hmm.
loving what you're doing. You know you're aligned, you're loving what you're doing, you know you're being of service. It's feeding your soul, it's all those things. And so that is the hold. That's the holding of wealth because it is literally that's the wealth in all the areas of life when we are in that flow state. And everyone knows it. I mean, it doesn't even have to be with work related or tasks. It can be whenever you're with somebody that you truly connect with, truly authentically connect with, and you're like spending hours with them and then, you go your separate ways or whatever. You're like, "Wow, that felt like 15 minutes." Like that's an example.
Yeah, exactly. And you can even look at it as like that authentic connection as you're receiving connection, you're receiving authenticity, you're receiving presence, you're receiving so much wealth in that connection. So that's just another way to look at it. Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, so I'm just really excited about all of this because, yeah, we're going to be clearing the unconscious limiting belief. We're going to be able to go right to the root of that. We're
Yeah.
going to be, we're going to be working with that belief that is literally blocking our prosperity and abundance, in all areas of our life. Um, and actually get to know like this is the curiosity that I love about this work. You literally get to see like what is the relationship? Like what is like right now, we just talked about the relationship that we have to wealth, right? Each of us
Hmm.
just gave our examples. That's
Hmm.
literally our relationships to wealth. If I were to like look at that, so mine is fear of disappointment and fear. Like literally, it's the fear of disappointing others and fear. So it'll be really interesting for me to go, wow, and I love this work because we can literally break it down like this now, which is super cool. So now I'm going to be contemplating all day going, what do I have to be scared of? Oh, the repercussions. I was talking about repercussions.
Hmm.
All right. So I will be contemplating this whole time until we do our clear, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. We're going to be doing the clear. Um, and also time of filming, right? At this time of filming, it'll be in a couple of weeks, but also it's always out there. If anybody ever is into wealth consciousness and you're seeing this, way later, even a year later, it's still in there. We have everything in the client portal and everything. So it's still there. But so I'm going to be going, okay, I'm contemplating that if I were to have wealth in all areas of my life, I have a fear of disappointing others and I have a
Mm.
fear of repercussions. And so I'm staying in my comfort zone of urgency and thinking that I have to do things in order to earn my worth
Hmm.
because like that's literally my limiting belief.
This is huge, Lori. This is huge. And so, yes, 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 yes. So, by doing this clearing, and in this particular case for the month of July and August, it's going to be specifically the physical body. But after the contemplation, and as we're moving through the integration period, the question now becomes, as we release the limiting beliefs, how do we now replace that with a new reference point for safety? What becomes the new reference point?
Yes.
Because we're always operating from our reference point that came with survival, that came with conditioning. So now, what is our reference point for safety to be able to have that capacity to receive and hold more? Yeah.
Yeah. And so whenever we do that and we create the new reference point now we have the capacity for wealth in all areas of our life to actually stay.
Yes. Yes.
This is going to be a fun one. I'm excited.
I'm excited also.
Well, is there anything more you wanted to share on that?
The only thing that I'd like to do is just throw out a couple of contemplations that are what somatic or physical about the, oh boy, just bear with me, everybody. Literally, lunar journeys just happened. But either way, somatic contemplations to keep in mind um, where in your life are you still preparing for something to go wrong? What would happen if you stopped rushing? What does urgency feel like in the body? What are you afraid might happen if you fully relax? And where have you confused being busy with being safe? So these are just a few questions to contemplate just to get your mind going. And if you happen to actually find a pattern, an emotion, or anything like that, and you're, feeling called to go ahead and release that, we have a couple of different ways. One of those being joining us in Say Yes to Soul. And there's also, I don't know, we just created that document that could be, I don't know, do you want to share about that? I didn't know if we were going to, but I just said it. So the ebook.
Yeah, we're in the process of it.
Yeah.
I hope it gets out there. We have like a little tiny version of it out there right now. So even if we don't get to the deeper version,
Hmm.
I think we are because we're working on it. So it should go out soon. But the um I don't want to say tinier version. There's a version out there that's actually really powerful about patterns and what patterns want that you are ready to release. That's what it's called. I'm like, what was it called? What patterns are you ready to release?
Yeah.
And it literally will walk you through. It's like just a short PDF, and it'll walk you through some of what we talked about just now. So that is out there. We'll actually put the link here because that's out there for sure. If we get this done and we replace it, it's a whole workbook. It's a whole workbook that's out there that you get to actually go, and it's all free. And
Hmm.
so just go, the link will be there too. We'll put the link there. I'm trying to think what else, if there was something else here. I feel like there was something else here, but I don't know. We'll come back to it, I guess. But Say Yes to Soul, I'm so excited about it because we're just starting this series, right? We're starting the five bodies series, starting out with the physical body. We'll be moving into emotional, energetic, mental, spiritual, and we're missing one. Emotional,
Energetic.
energetic. Yeah, we are definitely in the clear with
Yes.
this. But yeah, the energetic one too. So, we'd love for you to join us. We actually have something special. We have a promo code that we'll put down below as well. If it's code Say Yes for $10 off. Um, yeah, I think that's probably about it. And don't worry if you're watching this like a year later or something. I mean, you still get access to the clear and everything else, and you can still get to work through it. So it's not like we go, yep, well, you're doing the clear and now we're done. The Sayest to Soul is an ongoing thing and there's so many things in there. It's just amazing. So yeah, we'd love for you to join us.
Yes, like, subscribe, and share.
Okay. And then just let us know if you have any questions. So until next time, we'll see you then. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
And live your life today.